Hello, I'm Lynn.
Hello, I'm Renee.
And I'm Nick.
Chess is a game played by over 600 million people throughout 150 different countries. After the first 4 moves in the chess match, there are over 280 billion different ways to play the game. I'm Kyle Scherf. I've been playing chess for over 25 years. At the age of 5, I was beating my father and my grandfather, and by the age of 10, I was the second highest ranked player in the state of Michigan by the U.S. Chess Federation. Today we're going to talk about what the pieces of chess are called, then we're going to talk about how they move, and last we're going to talk about overall general strategy and some tips to help you guys win at chess. First, we have our rooks. Each player has 2 rooks. They start off in the corners. Then we have our knights. They start out next to the rooks. Bishops, next to the knights. Then we have your king and queen. One tip for the queen always takes her color. So if she's the white queen, she'll start on the white space. The dark queen will start on the dark square. Then we have our pawns. Each player starts out with 8 pawns, and they go in a row in front of your other pieces. Now that you know what the pieces are called, we're going to talk about how they move. The pawns move 2 spaces initially, 2 or 1, and then they move 1 space forward after that. However, the pawns capture only in the diagonal direction. You cannot capture from a pawn face to face with an opponent. Your castles or your rooks move forward and aft, side to side, and they can move across the entire table as long as there's nothing in their way. The knights are a very special piece. It's the only piece that can jump other pieces to advance to a different square. The knights move in an L pattern, either forward 1 over 2, aft 1 over 2, any which way to make an L shape. Your bishops, you'll start with 2 bishops on alternating colors, and they can only move diagonally forward and back on their respective colors. Your king, you need to protect at all times. He is also the weakest piece in the game. He can only move 1 square in any direction. Your queen is the most powerful piece in the game. She can move forward, back, left, right, diagonal, any which way across the entire length of the board, and she is also the most valuable piece, so you need to protect her at all times. Now that I've talked about the names of the pieces and how the pieces move, I will now begin to cover some general, basic chess strategy. Here we have the 4 centered squares. These are the most powerful squares in the game, and if you can control those 4 squares, you can control the entire game. Your ideal setup after opening is going to have your knights and your bishops controlling those 4 squares. From there, you can attack in any direction, and you can really put pressure on your opponent. After you've established control over the middle of the board, the next you'll want to focus on a solid defense. A solid defense begins with your king being protected by as many other pieces on the board. So here we're going to talk about a king-side castle, where you move your king to the right 2 squares and overlap your rook to protect your king even further. You can castle on the king side, and you can also castle on the queen side by moving your king to the left 3 and your rook over top by 1. This is the most solid defense in the game. It puts as many pieces in front of your king as possible to set up the strongest defense. Now that we talked about defense, we're going to talk about offense. Obviously, the key is winning the game. And the way you win the game is by creating a trap for your opponent's king. If your opponent's king cannot move in any direction, that's called checkmate. Here we see that the king is completely trapped. There's nowhere where it can go that it's not captured. So that's a little bit about chess. You learned what the pieces are called, how each piece moves, and a little basic strategy about how to win at the game of chess. Like I said before, not only is chess played by 600 million players, but it's also one of the oldest board games known to man. Chess is a game that involves 100% skill. There is absolutely zero luck involved in the game of chess. A lot of players spend their entire lives to become a grandmaster, and a lot of them never make it. So I hope you learned a lot about chess from this speech, and I thank you for your time.